Hey everyone, Mr. MC here. This is guide for Alsace in reverse with the Toyota FT-1, and let's get this started by mentioning we're under racing soft tires and brake balance is at -1 or 1 to the front. Now, the most critical part of this entire lap is pretty much right in front of you. So you're going to brake just as the wall on the left changes from blue and yellow to black and white. Brake for a while, hug this inside turn and stay on the right as you want to set yourself up by doing a bit of throttle control for this left turn. You want to get the car pointing towards the next section of the track as soon as you can and then fully accelerate. Then bring yourself towards the left side of the track and brake before you pass the sign that is on the left. Quick burst of braking. Be careful getting on the throttle as it's really easy to end up overshooting this turn, almost like how I do. Then brake just after the curb on the right starts. You're going in for a late apex, shift down to first gear for a bit more rotation, but exit this turn on second gear and carefully get on the throttle. Then you want to eventually make your way towards the right side of the track, set yourself up for the big banky boy, and just as you start to turn in, that's when you lift off of the throttle. You may need to use a little bit of braking if you go into this turn a little too hot. Just try to do a little bit of throttle control, stay on the left side of the track. Then brake just as you're about to pass the sign that is on either side of the track. Brake hard for a short moment. Take your time transitioning over from the braking to the throttle as this is a longer drawn out turn. This left turn can be taken flat out. Bring yourself towards the right and brake before the curb on the right starts. Brake hard for a short moment. Slowly ease off of the brakes as you turn in and quickly get on the throttle. Then bring yourself towards the left. Ease off of the throttle just as you're pointing away from these group of happy little trees. This is more about throttle control, but you can use a tiny bit of braking if you really need to, if you're going into this turn a little too fast. And then brake before the signs on the right end. Brake hard for a short moment. Slowly ease off of the brakes as you turn in. Bring yourself towards the inside of the turn and then quickly get on the throttle. Now stay on the right side of the track as your final braking point is going to be the first sign that appears on the right and now highlighted in a moment right here. So you're braking just as you're about to pass it. You're braking hard for a while in a straight line. Ease off of the brakes just as you turn in and carefully get on the throttle. But that's all for the lap guide. Let's go ahead and take a look at the strategies. Alright, so we're doing 10 laps here at Alsace in reverse with the Group 3 cars. Really quiet night. I was recording this at around 11:30 p.m. last night. But anyways, 10 laps here. Fuel is a ×2, so fuel is not an issue, but the tire wear is a ×6, so tire wear does come in pretty fast. It actually kicks in pretty hard around halfway into the race. So you have the racing soft and medium tires to work with. Both tires are required to be used, so make sure you use both tire compounds so you don't get a 1-minute penalty after the race ends. If you're starting around P6 and below, you're going to be starting around the last turn, so make sure you have traction control on so you don't spin out at the very start of the race. And just be a little careful through the first lap. You have cold tires, so you just want to be a little careful as your tires start to warm up. And of course, if you're starting in the very front, start under racing soft tires. If you're starting around the last turn, so if I remember correctly, P6 and below, start under racing medium tires, get the slower tire compound out of the way, and eventually switch on over to the faster racing soft tires. And with this track, there's quite a few high-speed corners, especially the big banky boy over here. So with these high-speed corners, cars that are good on high-speed turns like the Toyota FT-1, the Nissan GT-R, the Volkswagen Beetle, they're going to be really good here as those cars tackle high-speed corners really well. And as I mentioned earlier, the tire wear does kick in pretty hard around halfway into the race, so try not to stay out on a set of tires for too long. For example, with me, I was out for 6 laps on the racing soft tires and the car started to feel a bit squirmy and a bit understeery, so I was starting to lose quite a bit of time. So once again, make sure you're not out on a set of tires for too long. If you're going for the undercut, just be aware that with a longer stint, you're going to be facing even more tire wear. So yeah, you can see me struggle a bit through these turns, just trying to go a little slower because I want to make sure that I can end up actually making the turn and not end up understeering onto the grass. And in a moment, we'll go ahead and go into the pit stops. Just make sure you slow yourself down a lot more because the pit stop is just after the very last turn. So slow yourself down a lot more, bring yourself all the way to the left side of the track, and you're in the pit stop. So I started on the racing soft tires. I'm going to switch over to the racing medium tires, and no need to refuel because we have plenty of fuel. So switching on over to the racing medium tires, and the pit loss for Alsace in reverse is around 10 to 11 seconds. Some people may ask about a 2-stop being possible. I'm going to say the pit loss is just a little too long for a 2-stop to be viable. I mean, you can still do it to be a little cheeky, try to pull a sneaky on some people, but overall, I don't think the 2-stop is going to be as viable. If it was around 7 to 8 seconds, like in Brands Hatch, then I think the 2-stop would have been viable. And let's go ahead and talk about places to overtake in the penalty steering zone. It is going to be a little difficult to get a pass done because you have turns coming in one after another, so there's oftentimes just not enough time to set yourself up to get a good run on someone else and try to get the pass done. But anyways, the main straight, it is possible to go for a move, but there's not much time to set yourself up for the move because the main straight is pretty short, and then you have to go in a single file line to go through the chicane that we just went through. If a car got a really bad exit, it is possible to try to go for a move through this hilly part of Alsace in reverse, but then you need to go in a bit of a single file line once again through these series of turns. Just try to be nice and careful. This is a bit of a single file line. You can still battle out through here because this track is pretty wide. So while there are a lot of opportunities to battle, I think it's just the passing is what makes it pretty hard because these turns, once again, they come in one after another. So there's not much time to set yourself up for a move. Through here, kind of possible to go for a move. It's going to be a bit more situational. Try to be a little careful through here. If you're battling with someone, try not to hit the guardrails on the left if you get the inside line. And then through this long right turn. Once again, the track is pretty wide, so there are kind of multiple lines that could be taken through these series of turns. Especially with this hairpin, you can dive in for a late apex or go for an early apex. Lots of lines that can be taken, lots of battling that can be done. Once again, it's just the passing that's difficult. Here is also the only penalty steering zone here at Alsace in reverse, and obviously this main straight. This is pretty much the best place to go for a move as that is the longest straight here at Alsace. But anyways, this is about a 19-minute race, so this is around your typical daily race C. But that is pretty much it for this guide. Thank you guys for the support. Thank you to Playseat for supporting the channel. I'm going to go ahead and sign off now. So this is Mr. MCA. Wish you a good race, and I'll see you in the next video.